Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar on the Micropilot FWR30, the world's first 80 GHz battery-powered IoT radar. Just before we get going, just going to check my sound's okay. If you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up on the dashboard on the right-hand side, or maybe put a little comment in. Okay, looks good to me. Brilliant, so welcome everybody. So this is the world first, and when we first started doing these webinars back in March this year, after COVID had happened, and we did bring you the ProMag W0DM, which is the world's first full-bore flow meter for no inlet and no outlet runs, and now we're really excited to bring to you another world first today in the Micropilot FWR30, which is the world's first 80 GHz battery-powered IoT-based level radar. So before we get going, for those of you who've not been to our webinars before, have not seen this go-to webinar interface, this is how it should look on your screens. So you should see me in a webcam at the top. You can enlarge or get rid of me if you want. You'll see the presentation in the screen below. On the right-hand side, you'll see the dashboard. In that dashboard, you can download the handouts or the slides for this presentation. Just click on that PDF button there and download it straight to your desktop. You can also ask questions. We're going to have some time at the end, maybe 10-15 minutes for a question and answer session at the end. If you do have any questions throughout the webinar, just pop them in that section and myself and Taylor will get to them. So your presenters today are myself. My name is Luke Turner and I'm the Industry Manager for Water and Wastewater here at Endress+Hauser in Australia. I've been with the company for 3 years, first in a sales role in Queensland for water and wastewater, and since January earlier this year as Industry Manager for Water and Wastewater. We've got an exotic foreign guest here as well in the form of Florian Folger. Florian, do you want to do a brief introduction to yourself?
Yes, thanks, Luke. Look, also very welcome from the heart of the Black Forest. My name is Florian Folger. I'm Industry and Area Manager at Endress+Hauser Level and Pressure. We are based in the southern part of Germany, and we are developing and producing all the Endress+Hauser level and pressure products. And I'm happy today to introduce to you the new IoT radar, the FWR30.
Taylor.
Thanks, Luke. So I'm Taylor McCurdish. I'm the Industry Manager for Mining and Oil and Gas based in the Sydney office. So I've been with Endress+Hauser about 3 years now, and I come from an operational background in mining. So I'll be going through some of the different applications in different industries with the FWR30.
Perfect. Cheers, Florian. Cheers, Taylor. So as a start, we're going to do a bit of a quiz, give you some facts and figures around IoT-based instrumentation or products in general. So if you see the screen here, you'll see the QR code. The easiest thing for you to do is to grab your mobile phones, pop the camera on, scan that QR code, click on the button. It will take you to a website called Mentimeter. The other way you can do it is if you're on your desktop and you've got a couple of screens running, just open up your web browser, type in menti.com and then put in the code 9367269. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of time to do that whilst I switch my screens. Okay. Now you all should be seeing the Menti screen. So if you don't have time to scan that QR code in, once again, go to menti.com, put in the code 9367269. So first question, how many IoT devices do you think are connected every second for the first time? So that's every second. The numbers we've got there are 3, 27, 127, no idea. Please don't put no idea. Give me a number. Someone's put no idea. Okay, right, we'll give you another 30 seconds to answer. Okay, we've got a few votes, a few 127, 27. Perfect. So the correct answer there is 27. So 27 IoT devices are connected every second in the world. If we compare that to the number of humans that are born, there's around 4 humans born every second. We've got 27 devices. Next question. How many IoT devices were there in 2019? So this is the total number of devices in 2019. The options are 10 million, 330 million, 26 billion devices. Okay, 10 more seconds. Nice, okay. Sorry, but most of you were wrong. There was 26 billion IoT devices in 2019. Again, I like my comparisons with the planet population. There were 7.8 billion people in 2019. So plenty of IoT devices. What we're trying to explain here is that IoT is nothing new, and there are millions and millions of devices connected every day. One final question. So by 2025, 5 years from now, how many IoT devices are estimated to be connected to the web? Answers are 40 billion, 75, and 110 billion. Most of you have got that right. Some of you have done some quick maths in your head. The answer is 110 billion. So as I mentioned before, what we're trying to show you here is IoT is nothing new. It's been everyone's favorite buzzword for the last 4 or 5 years. But what we hope to show you today is with this FWR30 and the world's first IoT-based 80 GHz radar, but how this can really improve your processes, both in your production, your inventory control, and in your process monitoring as well. So we're going to flick back to the main presentation screen, which you should all see now. Okay. Right, now's the time we're going to hand over to our expert over in Germany. So Florian, I'm going to pass over to you, and you can talk to everybody about some aspects of this design, some use cases, some benefits and advantages as well.
Thanks, Luc. Since more than 20 years, Endress+Hauser is supporting customers with inventory management solutions. We always try to provide a reliable measurement. We try to optimize the storage of inventory and also to improve your supply chain. And the evolution of the industrial industry of things enables almost anytime, anywhere, any asset to be monitored. So with the market introduction of our new radar device, the FWR30, in combination with our digital services, Natillion Value, Natillion Inventory, and Supply Care, we are ready to support you in the smart asset monitoring market. So as mentioned already a few times, the FWR30 is the world first wireless 80 GHz IoT radar device. So, and it's developed to provide all informations to manage inventory in remote and mobile applications. It's designed to provide continuous user simplicity in purchase, installation, and also in the usage. So our solution additionally follows the high level of security and data privacy. So the smart level sensor and the essential features we are offering save time, ensure continuity, and optimize logistic and storage processes. With the FWR30, we empower the field by providing a full transparency in storage of liquids. We simplify with simplified solutions from procurement to operations, and secure data transmission and flexible integration in your individual system. We provide information access from everywhere at any time. Our added value services start from a smart level monitoring and goes up to a full-blown supply chain management solution. Luke, can you switch the slide, please? So the challenges we are facing in the smart asset monitoring market are remotely placed applications, which means it's impossible to provide power supply, or even very expensive to provide power supply. We are always facing the risk of overfilling, for example, in waste containers, or the running out of inventory, for example, chemicals, solvents, or fuels. At the moment, a lot of these measurements are done manually or by visual checks. Then often the applications are scattered widely within a plant or within a region or even within a country or a continent like Europe or Australia. And for a level measurement of an IBC tank, a cost-effective measurement is needed because also the IBC itself is not a very expensive tank, and even the amount of inventory in this IBCs is not huge. It's just 1,000 liters. Yeah, often these IBC tanks are moved around or even exchanged. And one challenge is also that these tanks are often stacked on each other. Beside these challenges, we also want to fulfill the standard requirements to have a reliable level measurement. We also want to provide an ambient temperature, and we also want to provide the level history. For the more advanced inventory management solutions, a volume monitoring is needed. Then we also need alerts for minimum or maximum level of volume, so that you get a notification when there is a level or a volume, a certain level of value reached. Also, an unauthorized change should be detected, and also a kind of a forecast is a requirement. Next slide, Luke. Thanks. So with the new FWR30, we want to tackle all these challenges and want for sure fulfill all these requirements. So developed for mobile and stationary tanks, a remote level monitoring and inventory management is possible. Using the radar technology also allows to measure through a plastic tank, which is especially for challenging media an advantage. So if you have a chemical with a high corrosive characteristic, you do not have to worry about chemical resistance of the radar device or even corrosion at the radar device. So then the device is also developed especially for stackable tanks. So it's a very flat design. The data is wireless transferred from the device to our cloud-based services and EM, NB-IoT or 2G. Then we are offering different digital services designed for your individual needs. I will speak about this later. And also with the offered digital services, it's very easy to set up one of the new radars with just a few clicks. This I will also show you live later. And also to keep it easy to install such a radar, we are offering a universal mounting bracket. In the picture here on the slide, you can also see an installation on an IBC tank. Next slide, please. As mentioned, we are offering different digital services. So we are following our slogan, the application defines the solution. Therefore, we have 3 different services available, and each designed to fulfill your individual needs. All 3 services can be accessed by using any device like smartphone, tablet, or desktop computer. This makes it very easy for you to access to your level data or your inventory management from anywhere at any time. So the first one offering is the Natillion Value. It's easy to use for standard level monitoring functionalities. It provides a dashboard, I will show you later this, with all your devices, shows you all your values and also historical values for all your devices. And also the sensors, it's very easy to implement them in this Natillion Value online app just by a few clicks, which we will see later on. Then the Natillion Inventory is already a digital service for inventory management solutions. It supports you to reduce inventory costs, increase productivity, and improve your supply chain. Then the supply care hosting. This is the advanced and customizable inventory management service we offer already a few years. The integration into your individual processes and your ERP system can be easily realized. All these solutions are following a high level of security and data privacy, as I already mentioned. They are all EuroCloud certified with the best possible rating of 4 stars. Additionally, the radar sensor or the transmission of the data of the radar sensor is encrypted according to the mobile or online banking standard. So next slide, please. So the Micropilot FWR30 at a summary. I will not speak about all features or go through the complete specification, but I want to highlight a few of them. So it's the world's first 8 GHz free space radar, wireless, battery powered. It's easy and simple to install, so no wiring is needed. The device is very small. Also, the commissioning is very easy via the offered digital services. We offered a level measurement, an ambient temperature measurement, a localization, and a battery status. The measuring range of this radar is 15 meters, and we can do a measurement every minute. Questions so far?
Lauren, I think we'll get on to the questions at the end once you've done the demonstration. Thanks so much for explaining some of the benefits and description of the device. That was really good. So as Florian had mentioned, if you stay for say the last 10-15 minutes, we're going to do a live demonstration of how easy it is to hook up the FWR30 straight to the cloud into one of those Natillion services that Florian had mentioned. Now myself and Taylor are just going to go through some application examples across industries. So me being industry manager for Endress+Hauser in Australia, I'm going to handle the water and wastewater application. So Florian had already mentioned that one of the most common application for this device would be monitoring chemicals or fluids in IBCs. If you've ever been to a water or wastewater treatment plant, you've probably seen a stack of IBCs either on the effluent or next to the bioreactors or even on the influent, which have all manner of chemicals inside them, whether it's sodium hypochlorite for chlorination, some polymer, flocculants, sodium hydroxide for pH correction. Most of those chemicals are stored on site. Now, generally, it's quite difficult to get a measurement from these devices. You really don't want to be using a contact type device because it could be subject to some sort of corrosion. If you hook that up to a SCADA, if it's a wired device, every time you move off the IBC, when you're putting a new full IBC in there, you're going to have to disconnect the device, remove the level measurement, put it back into your new IBC. All of this takes time and effort and is also quite likely to be an error. With the FWR30, so easy, get the device, use either one of the clamps or just leave it on top of the IBC, hook it up to the cloud, and you've got instant measurement of your chemicals on site. And with Natillion inventory, we can look at all of those IBCs on site. We can even do predictions of when we need to fill up the IBC. So really useful there. Another nice application, you'll see that image on the right hand side. I think this is in Germany. We've used an FWR30 to monitor a stream. You can also use these to monitor dam levels or river levels and put this into one of our Natillion services or supply care or even into your own cloud-based system as well. And you can use that for, say, the prediction of flooding events, low-level events, anything like that you can use it for. Bottom right, there's a picture that's in Victoria from one of my colleagues who's used the FWR30 on a potable water tank. So that's a stationary tank, and you can imagine plenty of those installed across a network rather than having, say, a telemetry device, which can be quite expensive and difficult to install. We can just use the FWR30, send the data straight to the cloud, and you can do all manner of information with those level measurements. I'm going to pass over to Taylor, and he is going to give you some application examples for mining, oil and gas, and food and beverage. So, Taylor, over to you.
Thanks, Luke. So, as Luke mentioned, there's a heap of applications in water and wastewater, and of course, they're found often in mining sites, and you'll see a few similes in the next few slides. But there's heaps of chemicals that are used on site in mining processes for thickeners, for example, where they use flocculant and coagulant. They use a lot of modifying agents and collector agents in their flotation processes. So there can be IBCs scattered across site, which can be hard to find, and obviously the inventory is a big component of that. As if you run out of the chemicals in a mining process, you can adversely affect the yield and impact the bottom line of the operation. Out in the open pit mine, for example, there's a lot of dust suppression chemicals that are used for the unsealed roads, used on train loadouts as well. And there's a lot of those IBCs that have those chemical additives that need to be managed. In the workshop, in the mine industrial area, there's waste oil drums that can be managed, hydraulic fluid stores, etc., which is also found for underground mines as well. Acid, bases, other consumable reagents are all used on site, and any slurry pits such as a magnetite storage pit, you can see on the top right of those photos there, can also be utilized. And of course, out in mining, there's often a lot of water management in terms of sump levels and remote dams, which you can use the FWR30 for quite effectively there. So those pictures are just an example. And in oil and gas, chemical injection can be used for descalant or anti-foaming agents in pipelines and well bores, etc. So management of those chemicals is very important. And you can see on the bottom, there's a few examples of some of the water treatment and also anti-scalant injector skids there, where the FWR30 could be used for the IBC consumables. And on the next slide, I'll also just talk about some food and beverage applications, because I notice there's a few of you from the food and beverage industry with us today. So there's multiple applications exist. Of course, water and wastewater treatment is common in food and beverage applications, but a lot of chemicals can also be used in the CIP process. And you can see at the top left picture there, there's some chemicals used in CIP. Inventory monitoring of finished goods such as wine products and brewery products can be utilized. And of course, in the utilities of food and beverage as well, level can be monitored in potable water storage and equalization tanks. So that's a very quick whirlwind overview of some of the applications in those different industries, but you can see there's definitely a large expanse of possible applications for this device. Thanks, Luke.
Great stuff. Thanks, Taylor. So just before we get onto the live demonstration with Florian, let's get back onto Mentimeter. So either for those of you who've not logged in, get your phone, scan that code, and it should take you straight to Mentimeter. If you're on Mentimeter already, you don't need to worry. So just give me 1 second. I'm just going to change my screen. Here we go. Right, back on Mentimeter. So final question is, myself and Taylor had discussed quite a few applications across all different types of industries. We want to know from you which of these applications which we've discussed would be most valuable in your industry. So we've got the level monitoring in remote mobile plastic tanks, or the IBCs. We've got level monitoring in the stationary plastic tanks, and also more of a water and wastewater one, level monitoring in dams, lakes and rivers. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to answer those. We've got quite a nice split. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So it looks like quite an even split between the IBCs on the left-hand side, or the stationary plastic tanks in the middle, and then a little bit less for the rivers, dams and lakes. It's good to see those first two, quite a common application for you. That's what the FWR was originally intended for, but as we've already discussed, there are quite a few other applications for this device as well. So now I'm going to bring Florian back in. So it's going to get back to the main screen. So Florian, I'm just going to hand over presentation rights to you, and then if you can go through an example of how to connect the FWR30 straight to the cloud, and then we'll come back at the end and we'll have 5–10 minutes for questions. So I'll hand it over to you now.
Yes, thanks. Look.
So, cool. Over to you, Frank.
So give me a shout when you see my iPhone.
We're in. We can see it.
Okay. So here you'll see a typical dashboard, or my dashboard, with 8 installed devices, all close to my area. One, you see the water in my garden, which I have an ABC, which is empty at the moment. And now I want to show you briefly how to do a new set up a new device, a new FWR30. Just scan the asset, allow your mobile with the camera, and then you can see here, just have to check the webcam. You can see here on the device a QR code, which I'm now scanning. And everything then is automatically filled in. You just have to set how many measurements do you want to set. So you can choose between 1 minute and 24, so 1 measurement a day and 1 per minute. I leave it as change to 30 minutes. And you can choose the transmission interval, means how often the data is sent from the device to the cloud. So it's from 30 minutes to once a day. I leave it at once a day. And I save and create a tag. Then I have to give the tag or the measuring point a name. So it's online seminar Australia. I change the status to active. The level type is already in. And then I can add a description, or I just change the unit. I leave it at millimeters and do an empty calibration. Means what is the measuring from the sensor to an empty tank. I put it on 8,000, so 8 meters, 8,000 millimeters, and do a full calibration or adjustment. So how much I want to measure upwards from empty to full, 7,500 millimeters, which is 7.5 meter. I can change the sensitivity between medium, low, and high. Means the device is reacting a little bit different on these parameters. The accessibility, I change to easy, and the criticality, I change to medium. I can also set different labels, so environmental relevant, quality relevant, safety relevant, or something. I just leave it now and do save. So then I have to do, I have to press the button. So now the green LED is blinking. So the device is now searching for a network. As soon there is a network established, or a connection to a network, the mobile network established, the device will get the configuration out of the cloud and send the first measuring value into the cloud. This takes a few minutes or seconds, minutes, depending on how good the network quality is in here and how often the device already has been connected to a network. So this is a brand new device, so never been connected, then it takes a little bit longer. But when it once have found the network, it's very fast, so within seconds. Come on. Okay, now it's permanent green. It's doing up and download all the data. And when it's switched off, we can go back to the app. And here we are. We see already the online seminar, the devices in the dashboard, and we see the first measuring value. It's 70%. So I measured the distance from the webcam to my computer, which means almost full. I can also show you shortly how the historical values are looking. In my garden, so this is the view. So you can change here from 1 week to 1 month, and then you see it's quite freshly installed. We had up to almost full. We needed to a little bit grow the vegetables, and then we emptied it last week, end of last week. Yeah, that's it more or less from my side. And now I'm happy to answer your questions.
Brilliant. Florian, thanks so much for that demonstration. It's great to see the screen sharing works really well with that, which is good. So now we'll have a little bit of time for questions. So Taylor, you've been nominated to handle these questions, or to at least read them out to us. And I can see there's quite a few on there. So do you want to get going?
There's definitely heaps. Yep. I think there's quite a few interesting questions from a lot of you guys. And again, make sure you are typing your questions into the panel on the right-hand side, and we'll get to them right now. The first question that I have for you is, Florian, is the FWR30 affected by any froth layer in the IBC?
You mean foam? Yeah. This is a little bit depending on the dense of the foam and the amount of the foam, but using the newest 80 GHz technology, we are quite confident that the device can handle these froth layers as long as they are not too big. So if you have a half full IBC with foam, I think it will be challenging. But if there is just a layer on the liquid, this should be handled. Can be handled by the device.
That's really good news. Awesome. I got another question for you from Simon. Can the FWR30 work through a metal roof or any EPS foam insulation layer? And if I do have this as the material in my tank, what is a workaround?
The radar cannot measure through metal, only through plastic. If there is a metal tank, you need to have at least an opening or a process connection. And then to install the FWR30. Taylor, you showed one picture where we also offered a plastic flange on the device. So we can offer process connections to install it also into metal tanks.
Excellent. I hope that answers your question, Simon. Andreas asks, does the sensor need to communicate through the Natillion system, or can it also be directly integrated with third-party software?
At the moment, we are purely transmitting the data to Natillion, but it's possible via an IPA interface to get the data from Natillion into any other cloud, your cloud, third-party cloud, or whatever you want to have the data in.
Okay, so I guess that leads on to the next question by Brent. He also asks, are there plans to extend the connectivity beyond Natillion Cloud?
As mentioned, already possible via an IPA interface. Yeah, we have to check from case to case if there is a possibility to go into the customer cloud directly. Up to now, we haven't done it before.
Okay, excellent. Got another question from Andres. This is around the location of it. So does the device have a GIS or GSM triangulation in case it gets lost?
Yes, there is a localization via the GMS or the mobile network signal. So I can also show it on live in the app if you want it. So if I go on, can you see it still?
Yeah, Florian. No, well, I mean, we can get, and Andreas, we can get back to you and provide you with a couple of screenshots of what that would look like on the dashboard after this.
These are my installed devices. You can see they are spread around the Black Forest and Switzerland. Huh?
Yeah.
Yep. So it's good that it has that functionality. That's awesome. A question from Craig now. He's asking about the battery life. How long do the batteries last? Yeah.
Okay. The best case is 15 years, but it's really highly depending on one thing is the transmission rate. So how often do you transmission the data from the radar into the cloud? So if you go for a transmission for every 30 minutes, the lifetime will be reduced for sure, because this is the energy consuming part of the device. And it's also related a little bit to the ambient temperature or the ambient condition. So if you have temperature changes from, let's do a worst case, from -20 in the night and +40 during the day, then the battery, this means a lot of stress for the battery, which is also influencing the battery lifetime negatively, unfortunately. But we calculated the battery lifetime for a measurement every hour and a transmission once a day for 8 years.
I think -20 to +40 is fairly unlikely in Australia. Might be in the middle, but maybe not in the metro areas.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks for that. Got another question from Jose. He asks, can the FWR30 measure through fiberglass tanks about 5 millimeters thick?
Yes, is possible. It's a little bit depending on the amount of glass used in the fiberglass tanks, but up to now we had no tank we cannot measure through of these fiberglass tanks.
All right, cool. Got another question from Brent. He asks, the mentioned future LoRaWAN connectivity, when is the planned release date for that?
We are at the moment in the development. We expect the LoRaWAN to have mid of next year.
Cool. And I've got a few questions now around the same thing. So it's great, but how much does it cost? I think we can probably.
That's for us. That's for us, Taylor. Yeah, send us an email and we'll be happy to provide pricing. I think, Taylor, we'll just do one more question before we wrap it up.
Okay.
Florian, you mentioned that there was a few of those cloud systems that you can use for this device. You mentioned SupplyCare, Natillion Valley, then Natillion Inventory, and then finally SupplyCare. How do we know which one to use? What defines which system we can use then?
So the Natillion value is for easy level monitoring in, let's say, a few tanks. If you do want to do a basic inventory management of your inventory, then you go for the inventory or the Natillion inventory service. And if you want to have a full-blown customized high-end inventory management solution, then you're going for SupplyCare. So it's it's related to the individual requirement of the customer.
Yeah, really, I guess one of the key parameters there is the number of devices you wish to install, I think.
Also.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I think we'll wrap it up there. Any more questions? There's a couple more on there. We'll get back to you individually and answer those. Florian, thanks so much for getting up at stupid o'clock in Germany and helping us out here with your presentation and with the demonstration. Really appreciate it, and I'm sure all the attendees do as well.
Very welcome. Thank you for the possibility.
Taylor, thanks to you as well for reading the questions, for going through your application examples as well. We'll speak to you all soon. Thanks very much. We've got a couple more webinars coming up in September, so towards the end of this month, mostly based on analysis. We hope to see you all there. Have a great day. We'll answer and follow up all of your questions individually as well. Cheers, everyone.
See you all.
Bye. Have a good day or afternoon.